Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and we're doing another weapon video, and today it's going to be the top 10 best axes. And now this list, I feel like doesn't need to be all that long and detailed. For my sword videos, I showed locations. For these ones, it's really simple and straightforward. They're extremely common loot items. You can craft half of them yourself, and most of the rest of them can be bought at any of the various stores. Some of them are even available at the first blacksmith in the Trotsky Castle region. So I'm not going to go through locations on these. For the ones that can be crafted, I will show you that they can be crafted. But for the rest of them, we're just going to let common sense prevail in the how to get them one argument, because I don't want this video being super long. I have a really sore throat today and I don't want to risk losing it. So with all that being said, we're just going to dive on in and start off with number 10, which is the worst one on this list, but keep in mind that there are at least 20 axes that I found in the game, and that's not including any that are level 1 and 2. So there's definitely a point to this number 10 spot. It's still a pretty good axe. So let's start off with that one. And so at number 10, we have the Raborsh Butcher's Axe. Now this one looks fairly standard, like I want to say it's the same model as the Carpenter's Axe, but it could also be the Broad Axe. I'm not sure of the minute differences between them in the game. But anyway, it's a fairly standard axe in design, but it's got a cool name and better stats than the other ones that look like it do. So it says, a heavy work axe used by carpenters to repair beams. If there's no better weapon at hand, it can become a tool of revenge. So yes, it's the Carpenter's Axe. I was correct. Minimum strength of 11 to use this one, agility of 4. It does 0 stab damage, which makes sense because there's no point on it. It has 85 slash damage and 59 blunt damage, which is certainly not bad. Has a defense of 114, a durability of 18, weight of 9.4, and a price of 904.3 groschen. So overall, it's a pretty standard looking axe, but it definitely has better stats than the regular Carpenter's Axe does, even at level 3 like this one is. Defense is only 114. That's not horrible. There's a lot of weapons worse than that in the game, but it's important to keep in mind if you're using an axe in this game, I typically recommend pairing it with a shield. So that's stats for the number 10 spot, which is the Raborsh Butcher's Axe. Let's take a look at it quick. And so looking at it outside, you can tell it's not a very large weapon. It's a single one-handed weapon, and it does look real basic, like I said, like a Carpenter's Axe. But that being said, nothing wrong with that overall. I think the style of it matches, and it looks decent. So that's number 10. Let's move on to number 9. And at number 9, we have the level 3 variant of the Broad Axe. So you can see it looks a little bit different than the last one. I would say a little bit less like a tool, a little bit more like a weapon. It says the battle axe, called a Broad Axe, is related to the ordinary Carpenter's Axe, but is much lighter and forged specifically for combat. It's a good weapon against shields and chainmail. So it says minimum strength of 11 to use, minimum agility of 4 to use, does 0 stab damage, which again makes sense. It has 85 slash damage and 59 blunt damage, defense of 114, durability of 166, weight of 8.7, and a price of 1,072.6 groschen. So definitely not a crazy cheap weapon, but, you know, pretty good considering the stats that you get out of it. And again, aesthetically speaking and weight-wise, it weighs less and it looks more like a battle axe, which checks out on both accounts. You didn't want your weapon to be ridiculously heavy because, you know, you're swinging it in combat. There's a difference between a tool that's designed to split wood, where the weight is an advantage, and a weapon that's designed to cut through flesh or, you know, make its way through armor, that is more about speed and repetitiveness than single powerful strikes. So overall, I like the way they described it, I like the stats of it, and I like the way it looks. Let's take a look at it out here. So looking at it like this, yeah, you can definitely tell. I mean, it's got a straighter shaft than before, and it looks more finely polished. The head itself definitely has a more battle axe aesthetic to it. Now, it's not very long, which makes sense, and it even has a hammerhead on the back, so you could double up as a mace using this weapon for just blunt damage. So if you were fighting against lightly armored or unarmored opponents, obviously the sharper cutting edge of the front would be the right weapon to use, but it also has a hammer back on it, which you would use against heavier armored opponents, people wearing plate armor. So definitely love the design of it, and stat-wise, pretty solid weapon. So that's number 9, the Broad Axe at level 3. Let's check out number 8. And at number 8, we've got another one that is specifically battle-oriented, or at least used more for killing people, and it's the Executioner's Axe, also at level 3. This one says, a lightweight, well-forged war axe. The blade forged into the point replaces the spike, which can be used to cut through the ring armor and the belly underneath. So it says minimum strength of 10 to use, minimum agility of 5, does 0 stab damage, even though we do have that point coming off the top, so I don't really love that. But it does 98 slash damage and 49 blunt damage with a defense of 134, durability of 185, weight of only 6.7 pounds, and a price of 1,426.8 gross. So just a little bit better in most ways than the two axes we've looked at. that. And stylistically speaking, I mean, it's an executioner's axe, so that would tell you that it's meant to chop off people's heads, or maybe to be used in torture. I guess you could also do that because executioners also did that. But whatever the case is, definitely looks more combat-y. Taking a peek at it out here, you can tell that the haft of this axe is possibly a little bit shorter than the last two, but definitely a lot lighter in color. And the head of the axe it's interesting because, I mean, I'm assuming this was done intentionally or whatever, but what it looks like is they took the head of a battle axe and flipped it upside down so that the long part is up top instead of hanging down below, which is what we would stereotypically see. But that is exactly what it looks like, because if you look at where it attaches to the haft, it's got this pointed part facing the top, whereas typically, or at least in all the battle axes I've ever seen in real life, it would be the other way. So what this tells me is that the head of this axe must have been turned upside down and reattached on this haft. That could be a historical thing that I'm not familiar with, but it's certainly interesting one way or the other. That's the style that appears to have happened with this weapon. So that is number 8, the Executioner's Axe at level 3. Let's move on to number 7. And at number 7, we have our first Cumin axe on the list, another one that looks very combat-y, and it's the Cumin Focos, this time at level 4, which is the Mastercrafted level that only Henry can achieve. So it says a Cumin long-handed Focos, a fast and agile weapon of the Hungarian raiders. It can pierce light armor or the skull of a good Christian. It says minimum strength of 7 to use, agility of 0, stab damage of 0 for this one, but a slash damage of 99 and a blunt damage of 50. It has a defense of 114, durability of 98, a weight of 5.6 pounds, and a price of 914.4 groschen. So I would say, you know, a pretty solid weapon in and of itself, and if you want to roleplay as a Cumin or any type of Hungarian mercenary, this would definitely be a great weapon for that. As far as the appearance on this one, you can see that we kind of look almost like a tomahawk. You know, we've got that narrow front on it, not very long at all for the cutting surface, and then the long spike on the back. So this would obviously be a great weapon in combat, especially fighting against armored opponents, because you have a lot of versatility here. It's basically a war pick, because you have a sharp cutting front on one side, and then a long, slender, but still heavy point on the other side. And you can see thick reinforcement at the top of this, so you could tell that it's designed to not only have a bunch of weight on the top of it, but also to have a lot of force in your swings. So it's a very well-designed weapon, and stat-wise it's also quite good, which is why it comes in at number 7. As I said, this is a Mastercrafted variant, and so you can find the sketch for this one. I believe it's sold at Sigismund's camp, and to craft it is fairly simple. You will need 1 fasting material, 1 iron, and 1 Frankfurt steel. So nothing crazy about those materials. So that's number 7. Let's move on to number 6. And at number 6, we've got one that we've already looked at a different level, and it's the broad axe. So this time it's at level 4. We've already read the description, so we won't do that again. But stats for this one are strength of 11 to use and agility of 4. Still has 0 for stab damage, but the slash damage is 99, blunt damage is 68, defense is still 114, durability is 166, weight is 8.7 pounds, and the price is 1,072.6 groschen. So appearance-wise, you can see that we haven't changed it at all. It still is a decent looking battle axe type weapon, and we still have our lovely mace hammer at the back, but nothing crazy. However, as I said, this one is one that you can craft, and so here's the crafting page for it. You can see materials to do it are 2 iron, 1 steel, and 1 fasting material. The broad axe can be purchased, or the schematic for it, sketch I should say, can be purchased at several locations. I believe one of them is either at Trotsky Castle or at Takov in the first map, and then I think 2 or 3 of the Kuttenberg Smiths also sell this one. I'm planning on doing a sketch video where I show the location of all the sketches in the game that I've been able to locate set locations for. So when I get around to making that video, which hopefully should be sometime in the next week here, that will obviously be very helpful. But yes, the broad axe at level 4 takes the number 6 spot. Let's move on to number 5. All right, coming in at number 5, we have the Horseman's Pick at level 3. This one says the Horseman's Pick is a light riding axe with a spike. Used correctly, it's a good friend in a pinch. Its sharp point can cut through armor, its blade through any shield. Strength of 13 to use, agility of 8, does 0 stab damage, but has 111 slash damage, 55 blunt damage, a defense stat of 155, durability of 128, weight of 7.5 pounds, and a price of 2,217.5 groschen. So definitely getting a little bit more expensive and looking significantly more use ready for combat. So on this one you can see that we have definitely a very stereotypical battle axe design. We've got a almost reddish haft, which I quite like, a little bit longer than some of the ones we've looked at, and for the axe itself, we have a fairly wide and heavy looking cutting edge on the front, and then a long penetrating spike on the back. So the Horseman's Pick is definitely a good name for this one because it looks like a weapon that would be very, very well suited to use on horseback. Plus, you know, just overall construction and style-wise, I like it quite a bit. So that's the Horseman's Pick at level 3, which comes in at number 5. Let's move on to number 4. And at number 4, we have the level 3 Knight's Axe, which you can see Henry holding here. This says, a Knight's Battle Axe, a dexterous weapon that can pierce good armor or crush the bones underneath with its spike. It also has a pointed tip to finish off tougher opponents. Minimum strength of 15 to use this one, and agility of 9. Does a stab damage of 35, so this one actually does stab damage, which I love. A slash damage of 111, blunt damage of 55, has 155 for defense, 215 for durability, weighs 7.5 pounds, and is valued at 2,483.4 gross. So all around, very, very good stats on this one, and we're getting into pretty much top tier heavy weapons at this point. So the level 3 Knight's Axe is quite good. So looking at it out here, you can see that on this one we've got a slight red tint on the top. It's probably because I've killed someone with it. But overall, this is definitely what you picture when you think of a battle axe, or at least I do. We've got everything. A reinforced haft that goes down over halfway with metal plating, which would make it way more durable against other bladed weapons, and after that we can see a dedicated handle area to prevent your hand from slipping up and down and keep you in the optimal range to get the most leverage out of a weapon like this. Once we look at the top, you can see the cutting edge of it is nice and curved, which should be great for not accidentally getting stuck in anything. That's the main advantage of a very curved blade like this. If you're using it against shields or whatever, flat blades are great for biting in and penetrating real deep, better so than a curved blade like this. The problem is they're also really good at getting wedged in wood. So that's why something like this would be better. You're much less likely to get your axe stuck in someone's shield or, I guess, armor or skull. Then we have the two other parts of it that I love so much. We have the long, nice curved pick at the back that could be used as a war pick to penetrate plate armor, possibly even helmets, you know, killing people. But then we also have that stabbing point on the top, which could be deadly in the right hand. So all in all, definitely, I would say the best designed axe out of all of the ones in the game. And stat-wise, very, very good. So that's the Executioner's, so that's the Knight's Axe at level 3, which comes in at number 4. Let's move on to number 3. At number 3, we've got one that we've already looked at a different level before, and it's the Executioner's Axe, but this time at the Mastercrafted or level 4. So we don't need to read it again, we've already done it, but stats for this one, strength of 10 to use, agility of 5, stab damage of 0, slash damage of 114, blunt damage of 57, defense of 134, durability of 185, weight of 6.7 pounds, and a price of 1,426.8 groschen. So looking at this one outside, you can see it looks exactly the same. Again, I'm convinced that the head of this axe is just put on upside down. I am very sure that this was an intentional choice, but it will always just look silly to me. So that is the Executioner's Axe at level 4. And since this is one that we can craft, we can take a look at the crafting page. So materials for this one are fairly straightforward, just 2 iron and 1 Toledo steel. Nothing crazy there. As far as getting your hand on the Executioner's Axe, I know there's a loot location not far north of Troskowitz in the first map. It's at a overgrown dugout shelter. There's a chest in there where you can pick this up, but I think you can also purchase it somewhere in the Kuttenberg area, but I don't remember off the top of my head. So it can be purchased, but I know for sure you can find it in the overgrown dugout north of Troskowitz. So that's the Executioner's Axe at level 4, which comes in at number 3. Let's move on to our runner-up at number 2. At number 2, we have another variant of the Horseman's Pick. Of course, the level 4 variant, or Mastercrafted. All the description and style is the same. Minimum strength of 13 to use it, agility of 8, stab damage of 0, does a slash damage of 129, blunt damage of 64, has a defense stat of 155, durability of 128, weighs 7.5 pounds, and has a price of 2,217.5 groschen. So stats are just better than the level 3 variant, but everything else is the same. Again, taking a look at it, it's got a solid, very classic design style and definitely fits as a weapon that you would see someone using on horseback. Then since this one is a level 4, that means we can craft it, and the Horseman's Pick requires 2 iron, 1 Frankfurt steel, and 1 fastening material to craft it. And off the top of my head, I only know of one location to get the sketch for this one, and it can be found right here at the Caravan Remains. So here's Kuttenberg's West Gate. You can see we go past this one inn, and you'll find it on this side of the road. There's a Caravan Remains with a medium locked chest next to one of the wagons. Inside there, you can find the sketch for the Horseman's Pick. So that's where you find that. Finally, at number 1, we of course have the level 4 variant of the Knight's Axe. So the Mastercrafted Henry's variant. Description and style are the same. Stats, we have minimum strength of 15, agility of 9, stab damage of 40, slash damage of 129, blunt damage of 64, defense of 155, durability of 215, weight of 7.5 pounds, and a price of 2,483.4 groschen, making it, all around, the absolute best axe that you can get in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, at least based on all of the time that I've spent trying to find the best axes. Looking at it outside, still looks the same, just as good as before. An excellent example of a medieval battle axe. As far as the crafting on this one, since it is the level 4 variant, this one you require 2 iron, 2 Toledo steel, 1 copper, and 1 fastening material. And the sketch for this one can be found right about here on the map. So that is, you can see the Sedlitz Monastery fast travel point, and here's the North Kuttenberg Gate. So if we go up from Sedlitz here, it's the camp of the Humble Knight. In the chest in his camp, that's where you'll find the sketch for the Knight's Axe. And once you find that, you'll be able to craft it. So that's it. That's the top 10 best axes in the game. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it was useful, but that's all for today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.